right, gentlemen, we have a hot mic. And let's see if the good folks can hear us. You know what? I'll just turn the volume up on my phone here and see if I assume we're running about. Okay. Okay, there we go. I can hear it. All right, folks. Well, Max and Max's Models, and if you're here, you already know that. We have Steve of Steve's Model Mania and Ken of Captain Ken of the future skipper of the USS Minnow. I'm sorry, SS Minnow.
You can't remember the name of the boat?
He spent all day on the boat, but he made it home in time to be with us. We are honored. Captain Ken.
Okay.
All right, guys. All right. Okay, they're hearing us good. All right, boys and girls, and we're off. So, I could do the unboxing, but I'll wait till some more folks get signed on. Mr. Jordan sent me a box. I have opened it, but I have not, and I reread the letter, but pre-read the letter, but I have not taken the stuff out yet. It's still got the packing peanuts in there, so we'll get into that. But before we get going, a public service message for all of you about government evil, how the Empire is trying to keep us poor rebels down. And Ken, I think you and I already briefed this. Steve, you know a little bit about it.
Yep.
We have often talked about 3D printing being the future of kit models, or at least having an ever-growing role in it.
Public service message for all of you.
Somebody turn down their volume because it's looping back into the...
That was me. Sorry, I'm just getting set up over here.
And this is what happens when you're late for staff meetings.
Cap E10, Ken?
Cap E10. That's your new call sign, Eton. You are Eton. Cop Eton. So, all of our 3D pipe dreams may come to a screeching slowdown here in the near future because the Imperial Galactic Powers of California and some other states are attempting to pass state laws that require 3D printers to be registered, just like handguns or something. They want them registered because, people can make ghost guns on them. That's their excuse. But it's more than that. At first I thought, well, that's bad, but it's not the end of the universe. I mean, you get the same amount of information when you sign up for Sam's Club. But then I found out that part of the legislation requires special hardware and software in there that will not let you print with your own 3D printer until the file goes through a government algorithm, and we all know how well that works with, YouTube, and then comes back and says, okay, you can print this, goes back to your machine, and then allows your machine to print it. Which means they will, one, know everything you print. My camera, why does this camera keep getting fuzzy all of a sudden? They will know everything that you print. They will have approval of what you print. And knowing that government never made a tax it didn't like, my best guess is that at some point they will say, well, you got to drop another quarter in the machine. There's going to be a 3D print tax, and you got to send the file to us and pay your $1.25, and then we'll let you print, or something like that. I guarantee you, they're already thinking that. Now, normally, we don't get political in the show. We come here to get away from politics, but this is directly affecting us. I mean, this is literally going after 3D printer, and I can just see you tried to print a gun. No, I wanted to print a 1/35 scale, rifle for my character. No, you can't do that. Because it's like the YouTube algorithm never makes a mistake when it stops somebody, when it kills somebody's live stream, for example. Yeah, I'm talking to you, algorithm. But, and if the screen goes blank now, we'll all know why. But there are a couple of websites that tell you who to contact to if you want to voice your complaint for all the good that does or does not do. And, man, this thing just does not... Is it my imagination or is my picture getting fuzzy?
You're fuzzy.
There's nothing on this thing that should be doing that. Oh, well.
Try letting it focus on... Put your hand up there in front, let it focus on that, and then pull back.
See, look. There it goes.
Now pull back. Damn,
Yes, the great Karnak.
Ah,
damn, I'm good.
yeah. For what they're paying you, you ought to be. For what we're paying you, you better be. So,
Yeah, really.
anyway, a lot of people say, well, that's a California thing, and not to worry about it. There are a few other states that are playing with it, but don't forget, it's very hard to get a company to make a machine, two separate types. We'll ship these to California, the rest go everywhere else. Although the car companies do it with emission standards. But so, and then another thing is, again, is that if you have an old pre-ban or pre-registration 3D printer, you can keep it, but unless you have it updated or registered, you can't sell it or give it away. You keep it till it croaks. So,
Which makes no sense.
I'm telling you, it's both in my opinion, it is absolute overreach. But
So what's to keep you from you designing your own gun parts and printing them yourself?
because apparently the algorithm will be able to figure out what they are, which means if you have anything that looks like it might be a part for a gun, they can stop you from printing that too. And Ken, we all thinking the same thing. It's nonsense. It's BS. It's
Well, if you want to carry that logic a little further than what you had mentioned earlier, anybody with a lathe could make a gun.
I already made that argument. All I need is some bar stock.
So should, like you said,
Ken's your
parts have to
brother.
be registered.
Yeah.
All lathes have to be registered and approved of what you want to make.
Ken, what I'm about to say, it's funny you should mention that because I was like, believe it or not, there have been people that have made exactly that suggestion. Don't forget, in
Really?
some countries you have to register knives. If you buy like kitchen knives, we want to know who you are, the information. Yeah, government is the illusion of control. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't want to get all political here. I just wanted you guys to know that is on the horizon for some. Now, it's not passed in the law yet, and it's a state law. But, and I don't even think it's about ghost guns. First off, the few that have been made that actually worked went about 10 rounds where they exploded. But
I think we should get off this topic
Yeah.
before you get blanked.
yeah,
by
before we
YouTube.
get blanked out. Anyway, guys, I just want you to know that that's coming now, where it's been proposed. So you can go out. There's a gazillion. Now, the next thing we're going to do, then we're going to play a little game. What?
Before you get to that, I have a question.
Yeah.
How did you survive the phaser blast?
It was set for stun.
It went through it's on the backside too.
Yeah, it's actually the guy who was wearing the shirt at the time didn't, but my shirt pulled a Captain Kirk and got ripped off, so I just took it off a red shirt. I'm actually command staff. I should be wearing a gold shirt. Which, by the way,
Aren't we glad that didn't happen on camera?
yeah, I thought about it, but you talk about the screen being blanked out. It wasn't YouTube that did it. The iris fried. So I have my little AMT shuttlecraft here. We're going to be talking about the shuttles here in a little bit. But doing research for this, I came across a whole bunch of wicked cool stuff. But before we get there, we're going to play a little game. And what?
Byron Tate says, "Looks like a coffee stain."
Yeah. So we're going to play a little game. And I was thinking, like I said, for this live stream, I picked a few kit models. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Steve and Ken a question about something that would represent something, and we'll see what I picked. Okay? Now, for example, the first one is going to be, we'll start with the lower hanging fruit. All right. Steve and Ken, if you were going to pick movie monsters, kit models. Now, we're not talking about kaiju. We're talking about, human-sized movie monsters. Of all the kit models out there, and I said, I want you to pick one or two models that when people see them, the first thing they think is movie monsters. Steve, what would you pick?
Frankenstein.
Ken?
Mrs. Frankenstein.
50%. The ones I picked, Dracula and Frankenstein.
Yeah, I would have picked Dracula for 2.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
So this is, I thought was pretty straightforward. But it's one of those things that if you see the box art, you think movie monsters. And if I say movie monsters, these are the characters that pop into mind. I think these two model kits are probably the best or most representative of movie monsters. Okay? So, we'll call that one a win. Now, the next one is probably even easier. You're each going to pick one, and you can pick the same one. Kaiju. Ken, Steve, what monster represents kaiju?
Godzilla.
Steve and Ken?
Kaiju. What's kaiju?
Giant monsters.
Oh, giant monsters.
Yeah, kaiju is Japanese. It means giant monsters, or that's what it's how it's
Oh.
interpreted.
Come on, Ken, this is softball.
This is softball. He picked Godzilla. What do you pick? I mean, this is...
Well, I can't pick Godzilla. He picked Godzilla.
You can, but you can pick another one, too.
Mothra. Mothra.
Ken just doesn't get the idea. I picked Godzilla and King Kong.
Okay, yeah.
I think
Oh,
the...
King Kong was big, too. That's right.
Or Rodan, or Ghidra.
But we're talking about what you might refer to as the quintessential kaiju. You know,
Rodan?
the apex, the ones people think of.
Frank Field says Rodan.
Well, Rodan and Gamera, I mean, those are all great. And everybody's got a different because of what your favorites are. But I think if I was going to say I needed to pick one or two creatures that represent the entire genre, now these are easy because they're the most famous. But then again, this is just my opinion. But I think King Kong and Godzilla are probably the two that are sort of, if you said kaiju to somebody, one of those is what pops into most people's minds.
Somebody called it at 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, and this one was organic. I didn't have to go off. I didn't have to go on a tangent. All right. So now the next one. There's only one, but you can pick any one you want. There are no wrong answers. The ones I picked are just what I thought. All right, Steve.
Oh,
if I
the Stay
said
Puffed.
what?
Marshmallow Man.
He is a kaiju, technically speaking.
Dan Chalchek came up with that one.
Okay, good job, Jacob. Steve? Yeah, I'll let Ken
Yes.
go first this time. Ken, if I
What?
say flying saucer, what movie or television flying saucer pops into your head?
Day the Earth Stood Still.
That's a good one. I thought about that one. Steve?
Forbidden Planet.
That was... I had three choices, and those were 2 and 3. But the one I actually went with, because I saw it on TV as a kid, was The Invaders,
The Invaders.
which I'm sure would have been your number 3. Yeah, you see, this is what I'm getting at. These kits are representative of the entire genre. When you say it, this is what pops into people's heads. So you guys kind of get how the...
Lost in Space. Well, that's not really a flying saucer.
Actually, no, it is. It's a flying saucer. A bit of a dishpan, but I would say Jupiter 2, Gemini 12. Yeah, I'd absolutely call them flying saucers.
Eric says the 50-foot woman.
He's getting creative.
I'm
Are
okay.
you saying that Godzilla is vegan?
All right, Steve, you go first this time.
Okay.
What kit model best represents an American classic car?
Mustang. 64 and a half.
Steve or Ken?
You asking for a movie?
No, I'm asking for a model that represents the subject matter. Ken still doesn't quite understand how this game is played. If I say to you, classic American car, what pops in your head? And you better not say 65 Catalina.
67. Get it straight.
Oh, sorry.
There's a big difference.
Play the
between
Jeopardy
those.
music for Ken so he gets into the spirit of it, okay?
What, the C1 Corvette?
Both great choices.
Yeah.
When you say classic car, the thing that pops in my mind is the 57 Chevy, the Bel Air. It's kind of the... you see more of these than just about anything else. It's sort of the quintessential classic American car, in my opinion. You see 70 Cuda. Yeah, you see Trey agrees, 57 Chevy. Model T Ford, T-Bird, American Graffiti, 64
57
Rambler,
T-Bird.
56 Bel Air. You see, so, and this is what I like about this game is what it means to you. Obviously, the picture's a picture, just what it means to me. Now, I'm not saying it's my favorite. It's just saying when you say classic American car, that's kind of what occupies my brain. What? Every time I see Ken grin, what?
64 Corvair.
Hey, man, everybody's got a thing, brother. I rode one of those. I rode in a Corvair one time. You know, as a kid.
I had an uncle had two of them. Those are imports.
Is that, no, the Corvair?
Yeah.
Unsafe at any speed? That's not an import. It's a Chevy.
The Chevy sold it, but it was an import.
Steve?
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, on the subject of cars, Steve has spoken. Okay.
Okay. All right. I defer to his knowledge.
Steve's
You're
the
thinking
cars.
of the Nash Metropolitan.
Yeah. Wait, the Metropolitan was an import?
Yeah, it was made in England. Then they later made it in Kenosha, but initially it was made over in.
Hold on, I'm going to need a minute.
What is he doing?
I always thought it was an American car. I had no idea it was British.
Yeah.
Thanks for rewiring my view of the 50s. Okay. Or was it 60s?
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. How did I not know that? You and I actually went and looked at some Nashes at Desertland, and somehow this never came up. But I think it was an Ambassador. Was that the Ambassador? What was that we looked at?
No, the Ambassador was like a big car.
No, but we saw a bigger one. It wasn't the Rambler. It was the
That we saw Nash.
Nash.
A Nash Ambassador. That's what we
Yeah,
saw.
right. That's
Yeah.
yeah, not the
Was that a car
AMC
called-
Ambassador. My grandfather had one of those. Okay.
Can I get a word in here?
Sure.
Thank you. Finally, Trey said he learned in a Corsair.
I think he meant Corvair.
Yeah.
No, somebody else said Corsair too.
Oh, wait a minute. There was a car called a Corsair, wasn't there? Yeah, there was a car called a Corsair.
Well, there's one now.
Okay. Everybody
Oh,
thinks
it's
a
a dang
Corvair.
spell check. It's a dang spell check.
Metropolitan.
The Metropolitan was basically in
Austin.
Austin. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. You said the Metropolitan was English, not the Nash Rambler.
Yeah. Then the Metropolitan, the little two-door
That
thing.
was the Rambler, right?
Right.
Okay. Same car.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, see, I did not know that was based on a British car. Okay. Now, following with the theme, Ken, you'll go first this time, and you better not say 67 Catalina. If
Or
I
Trans Am.
no, that actually Trans Am will fit for this one. If I say American muscle car, what pops in your head?
Trans
Okay,
Am.
he's a Trans Am man. There's a song in there somewhere. I'm a Trans Am man. Da 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 da. Dun 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 dun. Oh my God! I have not had enough to drink to say that. I can tell you that it was in the name Trans Am.
No. Don't go there.
God, it's so good. No. Okay, so Steve, muscle car.
Roadrunner.
Oh, that's a good one. I almost put Shelby Cobra, but I couldn't help but go with my personal favorite, the 67 GTO
Yo.
by Pontiac. Arguably the first muscle car. And I think
No.
you don't think the GTOs. Well, I
Master-
guess there's the Chrysler 300.
All right, so 300.
Yes,
Master
but the phrase muscle car wasn't used yet.
Yeah, no, it wasn't used. The 64 GTO sort of, that coined the phrase for the generation it was in. Yeah.
Oh, Superbird. That's a good one.
Well, he said, Steve said which one did you say, Steve? Did you say the Superbird?
Roadrunner.
Roadrunner. Yeah, Roadrunner.
Did I send you the thing about what did the Coyotes do
After he got the Roadrunner, yeah, that was deep and a little. By the way, on a side note, this AMT Ertl 67 Pontiac GTO kit. Okay, is it just me or does and I'm not knocking the guy who built the car, but because he can only go with what's in the kit, but is this not really the most impressive? I mean, see the size of that seam on the hood and everything?
No.
What do you
That's
think?
a big problem with MPC kits.
That's an AMT.
Oh, you're talking about the AMT one?
Yeah, the one I got up on the screen right now.
Oh, hold on.
Celebrating said something interesting. So
Gosh, you're not even watching the live stream that you're on?
All right. Celebrating said They were called supercars before the term muscle car was coined.
Yes.
No, no.
No.
Supercars were foreign cars.
Oh, okay.
Supercars were like Lamborghinis, Bugattis.
Well, I'll tell you what I
That's
like and what I,
supercars.
okay. Well, I'll tell you what I like and what I hate about this box top. I like that it shows the actual kit being built and that you see what you're really getting. I don't really like what you're really getting.
Which seam are you talking about? I mean, I can't see it from the box, but
Right across the seam, from the hood to the front end where the hood closes. It just seems like that gap is a little bigger. That hood does not fit very flush from what I'm seeing here. I know that, well, there's some reflected light, but I don't know. I'm just not that impressed with the fit and finish of the model. That being said, the fit and finish of actual cars wasn't necessarily always that great. One of the things we tend to forget through the rose-colored glasses of time is that a lot of these cars did not have the kind of fit and finish we're used to today.
no, they were rough. They really were.
Okay. What do you
Scale
laughing
model
at now?
apprentice says BMW, Mustangs, Camaros, Firebirds, Challengers, and Barracudas are not muscle cars. They're pony cars. Ooh, threw down a gem.
No,
Okay, Steve, I'm going to let you have this one.
the Mustang, the Camaro, and the Cuda were pony cars. The GTO, the Roadrunner, the Charger, the GTX, they were full-size muscle cars. They weren't considered to be pony cars.
Now, pony means a little smaller, right? Just like pony
Right.
versus a horse. Okay.
Right. And it was named that because of the Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cars that sort of came after, except the Barracuda, which came out 2 weeks before the Mustang, but the Camaro, the Firebird, they were pony cars because they were the cars to answer the Mustang. They were all long hood, short rear deck design. And if you put them all together, they have very short rear decks and they have very long hoods.
Okay.
Pony car.
All right. So, the next thing I'm going to ask at, I'm going to name a genre, and you tell me what kit model you think best represents that genre. Ken, I'll let you go first on this one. World War II Pacific Air War. Ken?
What about it?
What model? He still doesn't understand how this game is played. A model of what best represents the air war in the Pacific?
Carrier Enterprise?
No, airplane. Well, although that's...
Oh, you didn't specify.
I'm sorry. Actually, that is a fair answer, but I'm thinking in the terms of aircraft. But you can go with Enterprise if you want to. I was thinking what airplane. But you know, actually, if you showed me a picture of the Carrier Enterprise, I would think the air war in the Pacific. So, okay, that's actually not a bad answer, Steve.
Corsair.
I understand where you're going with that, and that's a good answer, but the one I think that generically, if you see that people think Air War Pacific is the Zero. Because the Corsair fought in all theaters. The Zero only fought in the Pacific, and it's kind of the iconic airplane of the Pacific Air War. And remember, I'm saying iconic, not best. Iconic. And again, this is my opinion. And like,
Somebody said your favorite airplane, SBD.
that would be another good one. Yes.
Ken, Dave P. wants to know what drugs you're on tonight.
Maker's Mark.
Why would I be on drugs?
Oh, I thought he was talking to me.
No. You're on cough syrup.
Well, that brings up one that is associated with it, but it is not theater specific. You know, people forget, we always think the American Navy in the Pacific. We forget the American Navy was also fighting in the Atlantic, including aircraft carriers. SBDs were there for Operation Torch, the invasion of North Africa. So, if I say the Navy air war in World War II, but the U.S. Navy, all right, what pops into mind? And actually, I didn't even think about an aircraft carrier, but that is an excellent example. But Steve, you go first this time. Navy air war, U.S. Navy air war, World War II. What airplane? American, because we're thinking U.S. Navy. What airplane pops into your mind, or what model would pop into your mind?
Dauntless.
That's a good one. Ken?
JM says Zero was a target.
Yeah, tell that to all the guys who got shot down by him.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
When I say the U.S. Naval Air War of World War II, what kit model do you think best represents the U.S. Naval Air War in World War II?
Hellcat?
What?
Hellcat?
Hellcat or Wildcat?
Yeah.
Which one did you say?
I said Hellcat.
Hellcat. Okay, that is an excellent one. Personally, I chose the Wildcat. When you say Navy Air, that's kind of what pops into my head. I think it represents it, but the Hellcat was the follow-on airplane, is every bit, as viable an answer. So, if you were to show me that box art, the first thing that would pop into my head is, yeah, that's the U.S. Navy fighting in the Pacific in World War II. Of course, if you were to say U.S. Navy fighting in the Pacific World War II, I would think of the Wildcat. So, that's Avenger. Yeah, a lot of guys thought the Wildcat. So
You guys are
Ken's
picking
out to sea.
They're picking on me.
Well, Ken, that's why you're here. You're sort of the sacrificial.
The comedic foil.
You're the
Yeah.
punching bag. We like to pick on you, remember?
Go for it. Do your worst.
He's ahead on points tonight.
All right. Steve, I'll go with you first this time. What kit model do you think best represents the air war in Europe?
The ME-109.
It's a good one. Ken?
The ME-262.
Really? See, I
Yeah.
would have thought that more of representing advanced technology. When you think the actual air war was out in big numbers, but okay. I mean, there's no wrong answers.
Well, the reason I chose it is because that was the standout airplane of that time. It was so technologically advanced from all the other aircraft at the time.
But I'm thinking of something an image that would, like if you're going to put on the cover of a book. If I was going to make a book about the air war in Europe, what airplane would I put on the cover? And if you want to put on the ME-262, that's fine. I mean, like I said, it's not a wrong. I went with the Mustang.
Mustang, yeah.
There's a lot of B-17s in the comments.
B-17,
Well,
B-24.
since you brought that up, that was the number 2 selection. Was the B-17, because both of them represent the air war in Europe, and I was really torn between the two of them, so I actually selected them both. That's a cheat.
Cover your bases.
Max is channeling his inner Ken Jennings tonight.
All right, now getting back to
Ooh, Brian Tate really insulted you. He said
What?
Max is a normie.
now that, sir, is genuine offense.
That's
Normie,
insulting.
me, normal.
Well,
I don't know how to take that. Boy, these people really do understand me, which means they know how to hurt me. So now I'm going to say 3 words. Ken, you go first this time, and then you'll tell me if you were going to have a kit model. Actually, it's going to be 4 words. If you were to have a kit model to represent this, what would it be? World War II Marines.
World War II Marines. Wow, that's a tough one. Landing craft.
All right, and Steve?
Weasel.
I don't know if the Marines used the Weasel. It might have been Army. The Marines used the Amtrak. But I went with, believe it or not, of course, it was kind of low-hanging fruit. I went with the Corsair. But that's probably because I remember the TV show Baba Black Sheep so well. And when you say World War II Marines, I don't know. My mind kind of goes to that. But
Hey, Garfield said landing craft too.
you know what? That actually is a better example. Marine Air was actually pretty small.
Dave Swain says a flamethrower.
Hey, Jack, can you do something about it? It's really hot. It's a flamethrower, Jack.
I think spell checker got the tray. He said crayons.
Well, the Marines are known for eating them. Sorry, Eric, I couldn't resist. But
Oh, did you mean naval or U.S. Marines? Paul Adams got you on that
wait,
one.
what do you mean naval or U.S.?
I don't know.
The U.S. Marines are part of the Navy. They're in the Department of the Navy.
Hmm.
In the United States military's hierarchy, the Marine Corps is part of, it is a department of the United States Navy. Uh, but they do have a general on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It's still a branch of service, but it falls under what used to be it's Department of the Navy. Used to be the Navy Department. Which is one of the reasons that the Marines have to make do with often somewhat older equipment, because they're very specialized service. They don't have the funding that the Army and the Air Force have. They get what the Navy can afford to give them. Although sometimes they get the newest, latest, but generally speaking, they have to make it last a very long time. Now, I'm not going to use the word I wrote down here, but Steve, you start this one off. If you were going to pick a model to represent the Germans in World War II, what would it be?
There's a couple good choices there.
There are a couple of really good choices.
There's a lot of really good choices. Probably a Panzer.
Which one? Panther, Tiger, Mark
Yeah,
IV?
probably the Panther.
The Panther? Okay, Ken? Pick a model that's going to represent the Germans in World War II. It's going on the cover of your book.
Probably one of the most effective weapons was the 88.
That's a good one. I didn't think about that. I actually chose the Tiger tank and the Stuka
Yeah.
for their iconic. I mean, the Stuka and the Tiger tank, I think, are almost symbols of those guys.
What about somebody here put down? What about the submarines? U-boats.
U-boats, another excellent choice. Yes, I didn't think about. I didn't think about the 88, and I didn't think about the U-boat, and those are both excellent. I think the reason I picked these two is the visual. It's almost iconography. The Stuka and the Tiger tank are almost an icon of the German military might in World War II. Even though, ironically, the Stuka was outdated by the time we got in the war, even though it soldiered on, and the Tiger tank was never really perfected. It was always but just. What is it? Oddball said in Kelly C. Rose, you ever been assaulted by tigers? I mean, really assaulted.
What's a Landwasser Schlepper?
Wasserschlepper. It's basically an amphibious tracked vehicle.
Oh,
When you hear somebody talk about schlepping something, that's actually the German word for carry. I think it means carry. Okay.
J.M. Chadwick put up V2.
That's another great one. See, that's thinking more like Ken, about the German technology. And it says a lot about how a person sees things. When I pick something that's iconic because they were used a lot and they were sort of the image represented. But other people think more along the lines of the Germans are famous for technology, so go with their advanced technology stuff to represent them, which is fair play. It's all in how we process data. And the more you know about a subject, the more you are likely to pick something maybe a bit obscure. The less you know about it, the more you like to pick something that you've seen in the movies all the time.
Tim Chalachek says, Deck, whatever. Okay, how about Volkswagen thing with a smiley face?
Well, it's basically a modern Kugelwagen.
That's all it is.
All right, so Ken, I think it's your turn to go first this time.
Wow, a lot of people echo what you say. Before they have a chance to hear what you say, somebody, Childex also said a 70s Kugelwagen, basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, first time I saw a Volkswagen thing, I was like 12 years old and went, looks like a Kugelwagen. Of course, I had a brother that had built a model of Kugelwagen. I used to see him in the movies. The MP40, that's a good one. The MG42, yep. Those are all excellent. Those definitely. And the MG42, I think, is still produced by the Czechs today. It's still there. And the Germans, I think, still use them. Look, it works. But I thought about the Panzer IV, but I didn't think it was as iconic as the Tiger. I mean, the Tiger has an almost, I don't know what the word he uses, religious. No, that's not. But like I say, I'm thinking in terms like iconography. Now,
I got something for
yes, what do you got?
Somebody mentioned the 262, which is an aircraft I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
There was one other airplane that was fielded and was active in combat, was the ME-264. That was a very sophisticated aircraft designed for reconnaissance.
The Germans had a lot of weird airplanes for that job.
But that one was jet powered.
The 264 was their attempt at a 4-engine bomber.
Then what was their 2-engine reconnaissance airplane?
You're talking about the Owl?
The Arado.
Well, the recon plane they used was, I think it was called the Owl. Hold on, I forgot the number on it. It's the Focke-Wulf 189.
234.
I'm thinking of the Focke-Wulf 189 Uhu, the twin boom thing they had.
Okay, celebrating says I'm thinking of the AR-234.
Oh, the jet, yes, the AR-234. Oh, that's like my favorite German airplane. And there's one left that's in the air and space. I went and saw it. Steve was with me, and that the late great Bob Cardenas test flew that. He was a contemporary of Chuck Yeager, retired brigadier general, and Bob Cardenas, who lived to be like 101, I think. Bob flew the thing, and he had an interesting because you have to remember the low quality of the metals the Germans were using to make the engines. He said, if you could get both engines started without them catching on fire or blowing up or anything, the airplane was amazing. The Germans who flew it in combat said no one could touch us. It wasn't quite as fast as the 262, but it didn't have to be. But it was and they wound up pulling the landing gear off of them and launching them off of skids. So
Actually, they started out doing that.
Well, they did that so they could put extra fuel tanks inside where the landing gear was to give it some range because those old jet engines were thirsty. But they said the problem wasn't flying the missions. In fact, believe it or not, the Arado, you've probably maybe seen the movie The Bridge at Remagen, the bridge we finally got across the Rhine. The bridge at Remagen. The Germans tried to bomb it with Arado 234s.
Did not know that.
Yeah, their bomb sight technology wasn't quite up to the speed of the airplane.
The 230, the one you're talking about that was at the Smithsonian, I saw that when that was still out at
Garber.
At the Garber facility when the guy.
Did you and I go to the Garber facility together, or did I go? Had I met you yet? Silver Hill.
Silver Hill, the Silver Hill facility.
I got to go there during an open house and see it before it was on public display. I got to touch the Enola Gay. That's back
then. The Enola Gay was
mm-hmm.
there, and the Arado was there too. And I talked to the guy who was doing the restoration on the Arado, and he said that that it will never fly because it has to get certified. And I said, what do you got to do to get certified? I mean, you're rebuilding the airplane. And he went into some details. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's not going to happen.
it would be too valuable anyway. It's the only one left. But I'll tell you what, Ken. You know how they made replicas of the ME-262? They built at least three of them, and they fly. They use Learjet engines. The Arado 234 would be a perfect candidate to have a ground-up, modernized, improved, but aesthetically identical copy made. Yeah, that'd be my airplane because I mean that is just a very clever design.
The guy who restored it, he told me something really interesting about that airplane. He said because the Germans were having trouble with making smooth sides of the airplane because the metal work wasn't up to what they really wanted it to be. They actually used body putty to straighten out the sides of the airplane.
There's a famous photograph of an ME-262, which I think is being flown by an American, so it's probably right after the battle ended, but it's still in German markings. But it had no paint on it, and you can see all of the seam lines, and they all have body putty in them, and it's in flight. They were doing that on the 262s also. That's exactly true. Just like building a model, baby. Putty sand, putty sand, putty sand. But the Cardenas was like, it was actually a very impressive airplane. But, of course, their engines were crap. And Okay, so
So what was okay?
Mhm.
Paul Adams says there was also a 4-engine version of the
right,
230.
use BMW
What was-
engines because they couldn't get enough of the UMOs, so they had to
Right.
use the smaller BMW engines. So they had to put 4 of them on it. Trust
Oh,
me,
okay. So
you wanted the UMO engine version if you could get it. Apparently, the 4 engines were a little extra drag and not quite as much I could be wrong on that, but and I remember seeing a kit model, the 4 engine one, and I almost bought it. It was just so bloody expensive. But that was years ago, back when I was probably on unemployment. Ken, I don't think you and I had met when that was open. So we were probably both there at close to the same time.
must have been. Yeah, they only had that open a few days a year.
Yeah. Well,
They had some interesting aircraft in there too.
they did, and some of them are still in there getting.
Brian Knapp brought up an interesting thing. He said, should have a category for aircraft more dangerous to their crews.
there are a whole bunch of them that can make that list.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Be a big list.
okay, Ken, you get to go first on this one.
Okay.
I want you to pick a subject for a kit model that would be one item that would represent the American Army in World War II.
Okay, say that one more time. I just want to make sure I
Pick
get it
a
right.
kit model that would represent the American Army in World War II.
Oh, you're going to like this one.
Mm-hmm.
The Sheridan tank.
I mean
Sherman
the
tank.
Sherman tank. Steve?
Yeah.
Jeep.
I picked the Sherman tank and the Jeep. You see those two, either one of them, and the first thing that pops in your head, no matter where you see it, American Army or World War II. I don't think there are any vehicles or kit models that, when you see that, the first thing pops into your head is American Army, a War II.
Bunch of people are putting Jeep up. I mean, excuse me, Jeep, but there are more Shermans.
Well,
Jeep's coming
It's
later.
not finished yet.
it makes sense, though, because you think about it, the Jeep is about as uniquely American as you can get. I mean, there's so
And they
much
were in
about
both-
it.
And they were in both theaters.
They were everywhere.
Do
Okay,
the Germans have an equivalent?
they had their Kubelwagen, but it wasn't a go everywhere vehicle like the Jeep was. Okay, here's a piece of useless trivia for you. Name 2 tanks, and I'll give you a hint. They were made by different countries. Name 2 tanks that served in every theater of World War II. Da 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 da.
Are you asking me or
da,
Steve? Or both?
Anybody.
Da 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 da. Da 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 bum bum. Okay, 2 tanks that served in every theater in World War II. Yep, Garfield got no. You're almost right. Garfield got one of them. Matilda, the British Matilda.
Really,
too.
Matilda? I was thinking Matilda.
And the Sherman.
Kuda Killa got it. The Sherman and the Matilda. There it goes. Now, Bill Paul. Yeah, okay. The Sherman and the Matilda. We gave.
Believe it or not, I was thinking Matilda. I don't know why, but that Matilda just came to
Well,
my
if you've
mind.
ever seen White Tiger, they get into that. They show the shot at Matilda tank on the Russian train. The Brits gave Matildas to the Russians, and we gave Shermans to them, and of course they were both in the Pacific also. But the Sherman and the Matilda. Now, I will bore you with something I learned from the Chieftain, or I should say from watching the Chieftain. The Sherman tank, which I have gone from believing was a waste of time because they were so easy to crack open, to realizing in many ways it was the best tank of the war, for a lot of important reasons. The Sherman tank was the first tank that was designed with a body of research behind it. For example, we had learned that, given the rubber insulation of the day, that particularly in the jungle, but also in other theaters, wires and cables tend to rot because fluid collects in the bottom of a tank. Rainwater, moisture collects in the bottom. Gravity, right? The Sherman had all of its electrical cables running through the roof to prevent that. There is a book about that thick that the chieftain showed on the qualities of rubber, which affected the type of rubber that was used to insulate wires and to put on the treads of Sherman tanks. These things were all, they had this huge body of information. The biggest problem the Sherman had two serious problems. One was the tall profile. That was because they were using the radial airplane engine, which sat up, okay, which caused it to be sit high. So it made a fairly easy target. And two was the tracks turned out to be a little narrow. Later versions of the Sherman corrected that. That's why the Easy 8s and the different versions of Sherman don't have interchangeable tracks. You'll notice you'll build a Model 1, all the track teeth go through the center. Those are the early narrow tracks. The flotation was an issue. The later ones where they're wider, the teeth go on the outside, which meant they had different road wheels and rollers, and the tracks. Now you could put all on one side and all on the other, but that aside, sorry, did not mean to go in the weeds on there. There's tangent on wee, but the Sherman, and this is what people forget. Well, the Germans had the Tiger. Why didn't we have our answer to the Tiger? The Sherman had to be lifted by a crane and put on a Liberty ship, and the limitation on the cranes was 30 tons, which meant we could not make a tank that weighed more than 30 tons, or you got to put the turret and the body on separately, okay? This was just, we didn't have time for this. There was a shooting war going on. And the more I've learned about the Sherman, the more I have realized that there is a genius to the American automotive industry that was overlooked by other nations, even the Russians. The Russians made them in huge numbers. The Germans and British made them of high quality. We were the only country that was really, I think, able to marry the two. The Sherman is a very high quality vehicle, okay? But it was made in huge numbers very quickly. It wasn't nearly as rough as the T-34s, and it wasn't nearly as imposing as the German armor. But you know what the Sherman did that the others, that we never would have been done with an American Tiger? It was there. We got them to the battlefield in huge numbers.
And they were easy to maintain.
Very easy to maintain, comparatively, yes. I also learned
Garfield says it's better to have 60,000 Shermans than 1,500 Tigers.
And there you go. They made 48,000 Shermans during the war. About the Americans using about 30,000 of them. And the Germans made 1,500 Tiger 1s, and I think only, 600 Tiger 2s? I mean, don't get me wrong. A Tiger, I am not underselling the virtues of the Tiger tank. It definitely, that gun and that armor. But the Panther was really, if they could have perfected it, the Panther was really their go-to tank.
As somebody famous once said, quantity has a quality of its own.
Stalin. And with us, the T-34. Now, Stalin making the T-34s as rough as they did is how they were able to make so many. But you have to realize the early T-34s were junk. They got about 100 miles out of a transmission. The Sherman transmission was worth about 3 times the range of a German transmission, and it could be replaced in an hour in the field by people who knew what they were doing with a hoist. As I've told you, Ken, what's the first step in replacing the transmission on a Panther tank?
Put it on a train. Send it back.
Yeah, that was one way. But when you want to replace the transmission on a Panther tank, step number 1: remove the gun and the mantlet.
The turret.
Yeah. No, you left the turret on, but you removed the gun and the mantlet. Then you had a specialized piece of equipment that reached in, went down, came back, lifted up the transmission, pulled it back, picked it up, and pulled it out the front. That's the price they paid to have that big solid glacis plate on there. Okay? And as bad as that glacis plate was, and for the M3 gun, it was impenetrable. Which is why Shermans love to get around the sides and behind him and everything else. Armoring the front of a tank where it's virtually impenetrable has value until the enemy flanks you. Shermans, depending on the range, because that's as you know your basic geometry, Shermans could literally go in 2 directions they'd split up, and they're like, the Panther's like, well, I can only traverse the gun one way. Okay, so pick who I'm going to shoot at. And if they were fairly close, and I don't know what the range was, I want to say within 600 meters, the Sherman, you'd be able to really flat deck it at about 45 if you were lucky, 35 for sure, could actually run faster than a German gun could traverse. So you could literally outrun the rotation of the gun. How many times that happened in real combat could probably count it on your fingers. We talk about these things that could happen that probably rarely, if ever, really happen. That's like people talk about, oh, the Tiger tank could take out a Sherman, blah, blah, blah. How many times did American Sherman tanks face off against Tigers during the war? Give me your best guess.
Probably not very often.
Well, that's true. 3. And in one case, the Tiger tanks were loaded on a train, so that doesn't even count. The crews did try to get up there and swing them into action. But now the Brits, that's another, and the Russians, those are different stories. Anyway, sorry, we're heading off then. So anyway, yeah, in my humble opinion, the Jeep and the Sherman are that spells America. Now, Steve, you go first on this one. And I had to struggle with the one I picked because there's another one that's a great choice that just got edged out. I'm going to say 3 words. I want you to tell me what kit model you think best represents them. Vietnam Air War.
Huey.
I'm thinking the Air War jets.
Oh, Phantom.
Ken?
I was going to pick that one. I'll pick something
No,
else.
no, that's fine because I picked the Phantom. I no, we're all in agreement. I almost thought about the B-52, but when you say air, that was just a bomber. When you say Air War, I think dogfight fighting, and the Phantom, you know, I think is absolute perfect representation of the Vietnam Air War. And the reason I picked the Phantom over the MiG is because the Phantom, at least in American culture, the Phantom is synonymous with the Air War in Vietnam, even though it served other places. From an American perspective, that's where you see it. The MiG-21 has served everywhere.
Robert Austin picked the same one I did. I was going to say the Thud.
No, that is, Ken, that is an excellent choice.
Yeah.
The Thud is in many ways symbolic. You've ever read Thud Ridge, especially.
What's it?
EB-66? Okay, that's going out there a little bit. Okay. You guys kind of spoiled the next one. I'm going to say one word. Ken, you go first. And you're already on it. Ken, Vietnam.
I've got to pick a kit that represents Vietnam.
Mm-hmm. You guys already mentioned it, so.
Yeah.
The Huey.
Huey.
You see a Huey.
Yeah.
I mean, you're hearing Fortunate Son and seeing UH-1s whipping through the treetops. Okay.
Yeah, the air cab.
Nothing, in my humble opinion, World War II, and particularly the Germans, but World War II is probably best symbolized by the Stuka. This is my humble opinion. And Vietnam is best symbolized by the UH-1.
I guess the UH-1 was kind of like the Jeep of Vietnam.
It absolutely was. The
So
UH-1,
different things.
let me tell you something. The UH-1, there are, I did a blog post 20-something years ago about the 5 bellwether aircraft. And for those who don't know what the phrase bellwether means, it essentially means iconic or representative of, okay? To me, there were 5 bellwether aircraft. The Huey is the bellwether aircraft. Bellwether meaning that's what everything's compared to, all right? Even when I was in the Army, we had the Blackhawks. All you heard is, it's faster than the Huey. It carries more than the Huey. Blah, 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 the Huey. Blah, 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 the Huey. Oh, yeah, the old Choctaw was a good chopper, but nothing like a Huey. Everything got compared to the Huey, all right? It is the bellwether helicopter, to which all other helicopters on this planet are measured. It was the perfect combination of maintainability, reliability, speed, range, cost. Just, it had all the illities. dependability, reliability, air mobility.
Ilities. Okay, I haven't heard that one before.
What? What?
All the ilities.
Yeah, I just made that up
Yeah,
because
that's good.
I'm a super genius. But and I rode in Hueys a lot, and let me tell you what, they ain't no Cadillac, but they are a Chevy. Okay,
Yeah.
the Blackhawk is a Cadillac, and Cadillacs are nice, but
And then they
Chevys are what all the taxi companies and police departments use. You know?
And then they based the first gunship on the Huey.
Well, sort of. Yeah, the first combat fielded one, yes. They actually built the suit. Okay, Ken, what was the first Army helicopter to have machine guns mounted on it? Da 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 da.
I said something. You're going da da da.
I'm sorry. I love the sound of my own voice.
I said, was it? Did they ever put machine guns in those helicopters that they used in the Korean War? The one that had the engine in the front.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that it?
That H-13, the little bubble tops from little bubble choppers from MASH. They didn't do it during the Korean War, but afterwards they mounted some 30 calibers, one on each skid, and went out and tried them. And they said, "Hey, this actually works." And then they built something based on that helicopter called, I think it was a Sioux. It was a little, but they made a tandem seat, huh?
Sioux Scout.
Sioux Scout, yeah. And they basically took the little piston engine Bell 47, put a little aluminum fuselage on it, put the gunner and the pilot in tandem, and put a twin 30 caliber turret, probably a pair of M60s, on a rotating turret. And they realized, hey, we're on to something here. Then Vietnam broke out, and they realized, hey, let's just strap these things onto the Hueys. I actually knew a Staff Sergeant Spiller, Gibson, who was involved in that stuff at Fort Rucker back in the 60s. And it was he was talking about they tried putting 50 cals in, and all the stuff they played with and all the problems they had. And since you brought that up, I'll add that the modern-day Blackhawks, the Air Force Blackhawks, their special ops version, it has 50 calibers, and it can have miniguns, but the 50s can be locked forward, okay, and fired by the pilots. I actually did a video of this over my pilots and prop wash after flying with a retired light colonel who was in that unit, and he goes, I was like, wow, you got a pair of forward firing 50 calibers, you can strafe the enemy. And he goes, yeah, we can, and we train for that. And I went, oh, that's great. He goes, no, it's not. It's asinine. I went, why? He goes, because, did you ever fire 50 cal in the Army? I said, yes, I did. And it's a beast. He goes, yeah. The muzzles are right there.
Right next to you.
He goes, when we pull the trigger, your head, and the concussion, you can't read the instruments. The helicopter's not shaking. Your head is. Your eyes, the vibration and everything. You have no idea what you're shooting at. And his unit commander made him go out and do it. And he was kind of like, and he actually put up a safety. He's a safety officer, and he wrote up why this is not safe, why we should not do this. That's very interesting, Captain. Do you ever want to make major? Wow. Then I saw a Loach, freaking Keel, OH-58, OH-50, as Trey calls them, an OH filthy crate. And it had 50 cals on the skids. And I'm like, well, at least they're down by his ankles, not up by his ears, but still, that had to rattle. Hey, Trey, you're out there. You tell me point blank. What's it like to fire 50 calibers forward out of a Loach? Yeah, you know what? The Army has free dentists. They'll replace all your fillings that get shaken out.
What about those rocket tubes that are right there outside the door?
Well, but you see, Ken, that's different. And let me tell you why. Rockets, believe it or not, are recoilless, and they don't actually have a lot of concussion. I mean, they make a loud noise, and you feel them go whooshing by. But they basically do that. They go whooshing by, okay? They're not sitting there repeatedly going rat, tat, 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 tat with a concussion that could kill a gopher right by your ear.
Okay.
And these guys weren't deaf.
Huh?
Yeah, okay.
What? But And that rocket launcher system you see on this old B model Huey was an early one. They replaced that, and they started mounting the stuff further out. But, you know, I mean, it looks awesome. But you got to remember, you're inside an aluminum box with not a whole lot. Plexiglass and aluminum does not stop a lot of vibration. But that's one of the reasons they started migrating to miniguns. You know, more of a steady brrr, and at rifle caliber, it's not quite as, you know. Look, when I fire my M1A, which is basically a civilian M14, at the indoor rifle range, everybody's wearing headsets, right? And we have armor-plated walls between us. I go, you know, kawoom with that thing, and people just put their guns down and back up to the wall till I'm done. You know, and that is a 7.62 by 59. So, yes, Trey, you're absolutely right. In fact, Sergeant Gibson was in there, and he said that one of the problems they had firing the 50 cals, he was at Fort Rucker when they tested the 50 cal as a door gun, and and I found some pictures of it, and they actually they bolted, mind you, bolted, I say, a tripod to the floor. He goes, we went out the range, bah, 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 and the helicopter just started flying sideways. And the pilots are on the pedals going, what the? You know, the whole thing. You got to remember that helicopter sits under, especially in a Huey. You know,
It's a pendulum.
it's a pendulum. It's like, blah, 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 blah. Well, it's like the Iowa. One of the guys I know who served on the Iowa said, yeah, we did a 9-gun broadside one time. The whole ship started sliding sideways.
Yep.
That was a 60,000-ton battle wagon.
My
I've
brother
heard that.
told me about that.
Yeah, and imagine the guys on the destroyer on there. It's like, whoa!
He said it's like shooting a bunch of Volkswagens 40 miles.
Yeah. 12 of them simultaneously?
Yeah.
Well, no, Dennis, I got to disagree because the squad automatic weapon is belt fed at 5.56 millimeter, and it is classified as a machine gun because it is belt fed. My stuff sets all car alarms. Yeah. Why is a modern warfare? Yeah. But
And at the 10-minute mark was the Godzilla reference.
yeah, 10. Oh yeah, we got into that early. So anyway,
Brian Tate says, why isn't modern warfare this much fun?
I know, really, because it's all done by drones, and Ma Deuce is on the tripods. Yeah, there you go. You can feel the report down. Yeah, you could feel the report down in the boiler room. That's absolutely true. I remember.
You're fuzzy again.
Who cares? I look better when I'm when you can't see me very well. You know what? In fact,
Thank God, I thought I was going blind.
I'm you know what? I'm gonna unpin me then. There, you guys are big and I'm small. That way, no one can tell that I'm fuzzy. Boy, that sounded better in my head. Anyway, so who was it? Somebody was Tactically Acquired. If you guys have not been to the Tactically Acquired YouTube channel, you're going to go watch it if you're interested in anything military. And it is hilarious. It's this, I think he was an E6 in the Army, but he mixes comedy and history, the way he tells a story, and the phrases he invents. Yeah, he calls, gosh, I forgot when they would drop cluster and murder buckets or something like that. Anyway, he's freaking hilarious. Tactically Acquired. Anyway, so he was talking about what it takes to be a door gunner today in the Army. Now, a lot of people don't realize this. Now, during Vietnam, the door gunners, you normally had two of them on a Huey. One was the crew chief of the helicopter. The other was somebody they just put behind the gun. And it was a dangerous job. They had a high mortality rate. What? No! I just saw that. Do not read that out loud. Yeah, the 50 calibers are tearing up the UH-1s. So, today, door gunners they're usually, one of them's the crew chief, and the other one, it takes a while, it might be a mechanic. and they have to go out and qualify and everything, but you don't just get to enlist to be a door gunner. You know, it's a side to another job, and to check out the qualifications a lot harder than it used to be. They've really turned it into more of a science. More modern helicopters can handle 50 cals and bigger stuff, but the Hueys, it was beating them up pretty bad. The thing though is that door gunning is way more important than people realize, because when you're landing troops, even with Cobra support or Apache support, you got to make the bad guys keep their heads down. In Vietnam, they flew into a lot of hot LZs, and you were basically laying down suppressive fire. You usually couldn't even see the enemy, but you put enough brass in the wood line. Well, I've only one time in my life have I been in a helicopter that used a live door gunner. That was a CALIFEX range. CALIFEX is an abbreviation of Combined Live Fire Exercise. Okay, and we're flying in, and they gave the door gunner, the crew chief, on one side only, the downrange side only, 100 rounds in his M60, and it had the spade grips on it. This wasn't the M60 like we carried. I mean, it's the same basic gun, but we have a pistol grip with a shoulder stock, you know, Rambo style. He actually was set up with the spade grips like the 50 calibers on a B-17. And the nice thing about the Black Hawk was the crew chief, aka door gunner, has his own window. In the Huey, we're jumping out on both sides of the physical gun. Okay? Made a chance of a oopsie a whole lot higher. You know, you got out behind the gun, you went right, left. You got out in front of the gun, you went right if you're on the port side. Anyway, we're coming into land, and he has his targets all pre-set up. And just as the rear wheel's touching down, I hear this M60 come alive, just as they slide the door open. And it didn't dawn on me, this is a CALIFEX range, he's going to be shooting live ammo. I didn't even look to see that he's sitting there with his M60 hanging out the door with a 100-round belt strapped to the side of it. Didn't make the connection till he hit those spades, the triggers. And that thing came to life, like, what the holy... Woo. Now, I'm in the back of the helicopter, and my teeth are rattling. All right? And it is very disorienting. And we jump out of the helicopter, and the Black Hawks is not like the Hueys. The Hueys guys would jump out before they touch the ground, or just as the skids were getting light. Guys would jump on the skid and hop off. I used to do that on the Huey. That's cool, man. That's John Wayne stuff. Black Hawk's got tires and wheels. You got to wait till it rolls to a stop, right? The whole time he's blasting away with this M60. I'm like, I got to jump out this door with the barrel of that thing 3 feet away, and that way's the tail rotor. So, you know, like, you know, brother could get hurt in this job. And the helicopter takes off and flies away with him still rat-tatting away. I, on the other hand, am eating Mother Earth, just going to flat down on my belly. I'm not moving till he's gone. And then the rest of the helicopters are buzzing right over us as they leave. I'm like, puh, puh. Well, I love the infantry. So
is that when you decided that maybe you picked the wrong job?
I decided that the day I went to boot camp, but that's another story. Okay. So, anyway, we have covered models that represent an entire genre, and I think this, the UH-1, you see that, I just think Vietnam, I hear Fortunate Son, and don't even get me started on the armored trucks. So,
back in the early days of my programming career, I had worked with this one guy. He was teaching me this new computer I was working with. And he was in Vietnam. He was in intelligence. And he said that the Viet Cong were they followed his movements very closely.
I'm sure they did. They had spies everywhere.
Yeah, because they wanted, you always want to take out the intelligent guys. So his thing was to try and be as unpredictable as possible. Because he says, all you got to do is, after a day and a half, then you can figure out what somebody's going to be doing.
People tend to set up routines, yeah.
Yeah. So what he would do is just some days, just randomly, he would go out, he'd hold up a great big sign to the helicopters that were flying over and say, hey, I need a ride to whatever. He would just hold a sign up and they would land, and he would get on and go wherever they were going.
Like a flag train. Okay, the next thing I thought we would talk about, either Horse or Ride of the Valkyries. Yeah, that's true. No, Brian, I'm glad you're having a good time. Now, the shuttlecraft. We're going to switch over to Star Trek. Ba 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 ba. This is the famous / infamous AMT kit. I built 2 of them, or 3 of them, and this one actually came out halfway decent. Very simple kit, not a lot to it. Does have seats inside, which are not at all accurate. I mean, the basic seat is about the right shape, but it has a stem in the bottom. The new ones from Polar Light's much more accurate. I learned a lot about the Star Trek shuttlecraft recently. Now, when they went, let me bore you guys a little history about Star Trek and the shuttlecraft. They, what?
JM says the shuttlecraft needs a door gunner.
Ooh, that's a cool idea. Okay. I actually go watch Red Star Trek. That's one I did years ago. My attempt at making a faux movie about if Star Trek had been made in Russia. And you're going to see him doing a hot LZ landing. Anyway, that's Red Star Trek. And so anyway, the shuttlecraft. The shuttlecraft that we know from Star Trek was actually designed by a guy named Tom Kellogg, who was a designer of the Avanti. He was on that design team. Let me get to the right picture. Okay, this is Thomas Kellogg's design. What?
Celebrating said they had door gunners in Star Wars Rogue One.
Well, Star Wars Rogue One was a Vietnam allegory. So was the one with the Ewoks. They were supposed to be the Viet Cong. And Star Wars, you could tell by the aesthetic, the steel pot helmets, the weapons that look like M16s, the jungle fatigues. Very much Rogue One was a Vietnam aesthetic. And the U-Wings making the landing was very much a hot LZ landing. Absolute. At the first time I saw that, I realized that. This is Vietnam. That's why they put it in Scarif, which was a jungle planet. So they could do the whole... This was Lucas's attempt to usurp Colonel Kilgore in Apocalypse Now, and rest in peace, Robert Duvall, who gave us some of the most iconic characters, including my personal favorite, Colonel Kilgore. And the famous saying, what's the famous saying from Colonel Kilgore?
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Smells like?
Victory.
There you go. So anyway, when AMT, and I actually found the contract, or a letter before the contract for AMT and Dazaloo Studios, they were not going to make a shuttlecraft until they needed one. And when they decided to make the episode Galileo 7, they realized we need one. So that's when they made the deal with AMT. And I am greatly synopsizing a lot of research that I did. And they went to Gene Winfield, and Gene Winfield said, look, I can make whatever you want, but what is this thing supposed to look like? He didn't really know what it was supposed to look like. The Matt Jeffries design was way too complicated, not very practical. So they went to, drumroll please, the Raymond Loewy Associates. And Steve, what is Raymond Loewy famous for?
The Coke bottle.
He designed the Coke bottle, along with a lot of
And
other
the Avanti.
stuff. And the Avanti. Tom Kellogg had been on the Avanti design team. So he decided to incorporate some of that look into the Star Trek shuttlecraft. This is what he wanted it to look like. It was going to have an all-glass front and top and everything, like you see here in these renderings. And it turned out to be outside their budget. But that gave them the idea of the shape. Gene Winfield then turned around and made the famous shuttlecraft. Now, as I've told you guys before, the shuttlecraft, to get the rights, AMT had to have Gene Winfield make an exterior and an interior set. Now here is a picture of the interior set, screen grab from the episode Galileo 7. And I just realized they actually did have sliding doors that went into the wall, so I had to go change the thing I was working on today in my set to put that in there. Boy, that caused me a lot of grief, but hey, that's model building, right? Anyway, so this is the end. Now you will notice that Leonard Nimoy is essentially standing erect. All right. The doorway goes up above his shoulder, pretty much to the base of his neck. But you'll notice here in the external view that he has to crouch way down to get into the external shell set. Turns out that the external shell set is only about 80 or 90% the size of the internal set. He couldn't stand up erect inside the shell. This was done for a lot of reasons: to save money, obviously, save material costs, make it easier to move around the set. This is not uncommon in Hollywood. When they did the Titanic for Cameron, they did it at 90% scale and used tiny short actors on it, and that's no joke. That's actually not uncommon. Even in some movies, like one of the Star Trek flicks, when they didn't want to make this gigantic set, they made it smaller and they had children put on the robes and run around. So another thing he did was if you look at the shuttlecraft, the exterior model had slab sides on it. Now this one actually has this weird little taper on it, which is highly inaccurate to both the studio model and the set. This is something AMT did. The actual studio model tapers in, and you'll notice most of the time you see them working at the rear of the shuttle. This was done so that they could use force perspective in the imagery. Let me see, where's the picture I wanted? Did I include it here? Yeah, there. If you'll notice how much Leonard Nimoy has to lean over to get into the shuttlecraft shell while DeForest Kelley is standing up, that's because the whole thing tapers down towards the nose. But it's a slab side, but it tapers in. The external model, the shooting miniature, which was, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was commissioned at $640. That was basically a block of wood. That had completely slab sides, but this didn't. They wanted to do this. Matt Jeffries did this deliberately so that he could use force perspective. The kit model from Polar Lights does this also, but it keeps everything at an even scale. So none of these things are actually 100% accurate.
Which one do you model? The external or the internal?
You see, exactly. Now, what they did with the Polar Lights kit was they enlarged it so that the inside is the right size and the outside is oversized, which I think was the right decision. Okay? It's what the shuttle would have been if it was a real vehicle, which I think was absolutely the right way to go with that. Okay? But, and the more I dug into this, the more and more things, kept coming up that I was like, wow. I go looking for one little piece of information, and the next thing I know, I am neck deep in all this trivia. It didn't even dawn on me till I started researching that the inside was green. For some reason, I assumed it was gray. But it's actually green on the inside. But because they're constantly changing studio lighting when they make these things, it looks different in different imagery. And the Kellogg design did not have the external warp drive on it. They added that. The Winfield added that at Matt Jeffries' behest. But and personally, I think that is an awesome looking shuttle with all the glass on it. And I my hat's off to them. They made an iconic vehicle. But here you see the green is very subdued. It almost looks like a gray, and that has strictly to do with the lighting. And studio lighting, as you can see a couple of studio lights overhead. This was the only picture I could find that showed what you might call a behind the scenes. And this is what I'm sort of mimicking with my diorama that I'm working on. The front piece, of course, slid off so they could shoot from this angle. Then they could put it back on to do an external shot. They could put it back on to do an internal shot. This is the same set. And they could remove the back wall. So all the walls could break down so they could shoot it from any side. One thing I did not realize when I was making is all the little side computers are actually the same color as the walls. I painted them black, but it doesn't matter. Actually, they're sort of light gray.
I just noticed something.
What?
See, that one picture right there that you're showing, that's up there right now, it's got things on the walls. some kind of equipment hanging on the wall. But that other shot you showed before that had nothing on the walls.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you see here, if you look on the right, if you look at the far right, you'll see the little computer console sticking out of the wall, and on the far and in the middle left, right behind the yeoman's right shoulder, our left, and on the far side of the right, you see the little computer console sticking out.
Yeah.
Okay, those are
That's
in the
not
kit. Those are in the kit. I painted them black, not realizing at the time they're actually the same color as the wall. They have decals that go on them. And again, the Polar Lights kit has fantastic decals. What I recommend if you're going to do that, though, is just file down the knobs and dials and everything, unless you're going to hand paint them, because the decal won't lay flat over them. But what I didn't realize was at the time was that the entire model, on the big Polar Lights models, the top part that slides in, you don't have to glue it in. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have glued them in. You can slide it out. That way, that big clear glass on top, you can see the inside. I didn't like mine. If you want to, and I put all that detail in there, which Monica was pointing out, you can't see it, because it's too dark inside. And I thought about go ahead and installing some LEDs, but that means hanging wires out of it. And I have so many. I just didn't feel like going through the trouble of lighting these things because there's so much going on. And of course, you light it, you take a few photos, and then that's it. You never go play with it again. That's why I stuck some lights in temporarily and took the pictures that were in that video I did a couple of days ago.
Got a couple of funny comments.
What?
HNX says, flying minivan.
It is. I call it a Winnebago.
And Stuart Gregory says, make a great taco truck.
Yeah. Well, they told him point blank, is look, when they saw the complex designs, they said, look, Gene, Tom, this has got to be made out of slab, masonite, and 2x4s. No complex curves. That killed Matt Jeffrey's design.
Yeah.
He was the first, as they said in the article, he was the first, but not the last Star Trek designer to realize that compound curves were out. Which I might add brings up an interesting point, which is very prescient to this. I got a phone call today from Ian over at Hurricane Hobbies. He said somebody come in and asked him what color should he paint his Enterprise. Boy, did he get an earful. He recommended matte white and TS18, which is a pale green, IJN green, which is a good color to use. I talked about this not that long ago. Let me see if I got that picture. People building Star Trek models to this day argue over what is the proper color to paint the Enterprise. And I don't blame them, because it's got so many different shades to it. Because depending on the lighting that it was filmed under, it looks different in almost every episode. And that's nobody's fault. Remember, when this show was made in the 60s, nobody thought people were going to be arguing about what color they're supposed to be painting something years later. Now,
isn't the large model that the Smithsonian have a different color under the
yes, don't even get started on that, or we're going to be here all night. Here's a picture of my shuttle.
Actually, I was trying to make your point.
Oh yeah, yes. There's one part that has not been repainted, and that's the top of the saucer section. But this is what the inside of my Galileo 7 looks like, with natural light with the top off. So you can see
so much better with heads on.
They really do, don't they? But the where are the come on image.
Doors got cracks in them.
Yeah, that's because it's a studio set.
And the door in the back is a little ajar.
Yeah, it keeps sliding. That's actually the one part that keeps moving, so it slides around a little bit. Where is that picture that I took of the... I thought it'd be right here. Oh, here's another example. The outside's supposed to be gray. This is a screen grab from the episode Galileo 7. Now the Metamorphosis creature. I'm sorry, that's from Metamorphosis. But it looks green in this picture on the outside, but it's not. It's white or light gray. But because it is basically white or light gray, it reflects whatever studio lighting is being used. And that drives model builders bonkers trying to figure out, what color am I supposed to use for this thing? And it is a little bit of a dilemma, because anytime you make something Hollywood, you wind up with an enormous issue about what is the actual appropriate shade. And where's the picture I'm looking for? Can't
It'd be
believe
interesting
it.
to find out what the special effect they used in that episode.
Probably just studio lighting. Put a let's put a blue light and a green light on him and give it some.
No, I mean the blob thing.
I'm just some kind of superimposed overlay. I see what he's saying. What did they do to? Yeah, I don't know how they created it. May have been a pure Disney style animation, but I mean, what is it? They stirred glitter in a fish tank to make the transporter, flake. Yeah. So it could be that they went with something along those lines, or I don't know. Maybe they gave the camera some psychedelics. But okay, this is kind of cheesing me off. No, I'm sitting here going, I know I made this slide. Oh, wait a minute. I think I know
What are you
why.
looking for?
No, that doesn't. I made a slide with 4 pictures of the Enterprise from the original series, all taken under different lighting effects, and every one of them was...
Oh, okay. Barry says gels and saran wrap.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I absolutely can see that. And they were big into using gels back then. I mean, the guys were working with what they had.
Right, gels are the color medium that they put in the lighting.
Yes.
The lighting instruments.
Mm-hmm. And, okay, this is kind of chapping me arse because I made that slide. Where the bloody heck is it? Oh, well.
William Kirchmeier says, JZM, you are correct, but a cupola with a miniature phaser in the shuttlecraft roof would be cool.
but the point I'm driving at is that the appropriate color should be a slightly off white. And when people say, and I have seen people get down in the weeds. Trey did a beautiful Enterprise model that he's put out on the table. And it's white. It's nice gloss white, which is really what the actual shooting model, pretty close to what the shooting model probably looked like. So when you go, what color should the Enterprise be? Well, ask yourself, what are you looking for? Are you looking for what the shooting model will look like if you just had it in front of you? Are you looking for what it looks like on the screen? Are you looking for what it looks like in a particular episode? Because it looks different in just about every other episode. Now, yeah, they reuse a lot of footage, but sometimes it does look goose egg blue, and sometimes it does look gray, and sometimes it does look white. So pick your poison.
Byron Tate says, Max has a point?
I do? Come on,
Something I thought you did.
So anyway, guys, I also heard today some shattering news. I told my wife about this. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I was told by a Glue Trooper that Polar Lights has quit making the Galileo 7 shuttle, or the Star Trek shuttle with the figures. It's out of production. They still make the empty shell, but they don't make the one with the figures anymore. If there's any more at Ollie's, I recommend you guys go grab everything in sight. Okay? They're probably not going to make any more. It's a great kit. And also, if you do the Star Trek bridge, I think the kit figures are the right size. I was happy to find out that the figures were the right size. The camera crew that I had, John over at Scale Car Garage, told me that those are actually 1/32 scale camera crew. I thought they looked the right size. I thought they were 124. So I actually do have a working camera crew. But Ken, a Glue Trooper, promised to send me a 3D print file for a old style movie camera. do, I'll send it to you. You can print me up some TV camera, film cameras. I can probably kit bash some, but
I'd be happy to.
let me see if I have. Let me show you guys where I'm at right now with the.
Sarah Jane says, just do a destroyed shuttlecraft. That way the colors are irrelevant, and I'll be happy to see it.
I have been. Do I have any pictures of? Oh, I didn't take any pictures of the work I did today. Man, Max, you're an idiot. You know that. I did all this work today because I'm not done yet. I didn't. I didn't take any photos of it. But this is. I got to make a director's chair for the one guy that's sitting down. But this is kind of the way to look. I've added some structure and stuff to it, but. I gotta admit, this is actually a lot of fun because I'm just making stuff up as I go along. I'm having a grand old time. One of the nice things about building your own stuff, make it up, is it's just all in good fun. No one can go, well, that's technically incorrect. Of course, it can't be technically incorrect. It doesn't even exist. Okay, now, next thing. Oh yeah, Spock. Okay, the XV3. Let us shift gears and talk about hobby time models for a moment. All right. This is the Hobby Time XV3, which the decals, some of them disintegrated on me, so I just did what I could with what I got and added a few of my own. This kit, should I say it, Steve?
Go ahead, go for it.
Sucks. Now, having said that, let me elaborate just a little bit. First off, very interesting subject matter. I am very happy that, thankful to the glue troopers. I actually have two of them. One of them still in the box where it will stay for life. And then I have this one that I decided to build. The fit is horrible. The landing gears came apart about 4 times. I now have them mega super glued into place. The fit of those end units is beyond abyss. I was going to compare it to the Rodin kit that I built, and if you've ever built a Rodin kit, you know what I'm talking about. Much worse. This kit is horrible on so many levels. The fit is bad. Now the molds actually, the look of the thing isn't that bad. I give them that. But the fit is 3 steps beyond abysmal. Okay.
Celebrating says, no kit sucks. The suckage comes from the builder.
Fair to say. You know what? I am not going to disagree with that. Because he ain't wrong. Okay. This was a bit of a rush build. I intended it just to be a day build. I was going to shoot it with the gloss aluminum. I was going to put the clear parts in afterwards, only to find out afterwards they didn't fit once I put it together, so I had to cut them up and put them individually. Not a big deal. Kind of fun, actually. Let me tell you why this kit sucks, and let me tell you why this kit is fantastic. All right? It sucks because it has horrible fits all the way around on every single part. And the parts that go into like the blades where they go into the spinners and where the wings go in the fuselage, it was a fight on every single part. I had to keep drilling stuff out and fitting, and it still wouldn't fit, and file, and cut, and file, and cut. It was almost like dealing with a big block of styrene. Okay, that's writer embellishment. Okay. And then when I got everything in place, the rotor blades kept flopping down. If I put them in the up position, if I leave it articulated up like that, they'll stay up. That's one reason you have to articulate it up like that. But the blades, the pins that go into the hub are so small that eventually it will sag. The blades will just hang down. So hanging them forward takes some of that stress off of them. If I wanted to make, now, is there the bones of a decent build in here? Absolutely. But it's going to take a lot of work to make an award winner out of it. Can be done. Absolutely can be done. This is a putty queen.
But you had those great instructions to work with.
The instructions are the best part about this thing. Box art's pretty cool too.
Doug Smith says, "Want a tissue, Max?"
No, we're not done yet. Allow me to pontificate. Okay. This was a struggle, but I got it knocked out in 2 days. You're going to want to bore out every hole. You're going to drill out, add wire, do anything you can to reinforce it. But beyond a question of a doubt, the worst part are these end caps on the tips of the wings that go on to hold the rotating part in place. They're basically lopsided, and you can seal one side but not the other. So you can either seal one side and then putty the other, or keep grinding like I did, and then end up sealing one side and puttying the other. All right? Everything about this kit screams at the top of its lungs. These molds were made in 1955 by a company that doesn't really do models. That being said, this kit is wonderful. It's a time capsule. It shows you what model builders in the 50s had to put up with. It's an interesting and exotic piece of aviation history, which I might add resonates to this day in the Osprey. Okay? And yes, this is the great-grandfather of the Osprey. There is a direct line between this aircraft and the V-22. All right?
Interesting. You said it was made by a company that's not a model company, Western Coil and Electrical Company.
Yep, that's it, baby. Okay?
How did they decide to get into the toy?
Because they did plastic molding, and in the 50s, plastic kit models were a hot item. But the most important thing about this kit, in my humble opinion, is that they made a kit of this very interesting and exotic aircraft, of which only 2 were made, when nobody else did. And that has value. Now, Anna Grand eventually went on to make one. And I believe Anna Grand's the only ones that ever did. And that's resin. And although this thing's in 143 scale, the Anna Grand kit's in 172nd scale, so it's smaller. So if you want anything approaching, a 1:48 scale or a large size scale, this is the only game in town.
William Kirchmeyer says, Max gets to brag. He literally polished a turd.
that ain't far off the mark. Now, right now, I have it out. I have it out in the Tarbis hardening. I'm letting it. And tomorrow, I'm going to clear coat it. There, as bad as this kit is, there is a distinct possibility I may display it right here in my office, because I think the kit, in its own way, is kind of that important. And I just have a love affair with the weird, probably because I am weird. But, I wear it very well.
Not a normie.
Thank you, Ken. Call me a normie. Huh, I won't take that crap off anybody. Take it back. Take it back. I deliberately only put one pilot in because every picture I saw only had one person in it. And the one that's still around that's in a museum, it actually had set up like this with an empty back. I think it's got a couple of stretchers in the back.
That's because nobody was brave enough to fly in it.
Well, the first one did. Oh, by the way, this model is of the early first one, the one that crashed. Did not kill the pilot, all it did injure him. But this one is the early one. The later one had a big fin on the bottom and had 2 bladed rotors. This would be very easy to modify into the later one if you wanted to. Ooh, I do have another one. Thought. So, but let me make sure everyone understands. The XV3 was never intended to be a production vehicle. From day one, this thing was intended as a research vehicle. It was piston engined, it was underpowered, there were a lot of issues. This is where they worked. The 3-bladed rotors caused too much vibration. They went to 2-bladed rotors. A lot of the problems went away. But it was never going to go into production as a working vehicle. It did, however, pave the way for vehicles that did go into production.
Oh, interesting. Hobbyline did solid wood kits in the early 40s. They also had a line of HO engines and rolling stock in the 50s.
Well, there you go. The more you know. And this mold was made in 1955, which gets them a lot of forgiveness in my point of view. Having bashed the quality of the kit, let me remind everyone that I only bash it when I compare it to modern stuff, which is a whole nother animal. For a 1955 kit, it ain't all that bad. But I'm saying it was a terrible kit so that somebody doesn't go out and get one and get frustrated building it. You're going to have to do a lot to this kit if you want to make an award winner out of it. But that being said, if you want to put in the work, there are the bones of an award-winning kit. I mean, an award-winning build. Because one thing, virtually nobody else made this. I mean, like I said, except for Anagram, nobody else made it. I'll guarantee you, if you're the kind of person that wants to put a couple of weeks and a lot of effort into turning this into something, the bones are there. And you have my respect
Eric,
if you do it.
There is a modeler
Eric
out
says
there
put
that
the-
likes doing that.
There are several of them.
Eric,
that do, Ken.
What's
Eric says, put the second kit in your carry-on the way to California.
Done. I'm taking off the shelf right now. In fact, here. You guys can see me. Let's see, it's right here.
when you going to California?
In March. Going to Buena Park show. All right, Eric.
Oh,
Here it is. And I got it set aside right here. It's going in my bag. By the way, Eric, if there's anything else, let me know. I have one or two here I thought I might, I was thinking about maybe you might like one of these. Eric offered to drive me around. I got to bring my model. That's how our community works.
Give him a car then.
I don't have any model cars. I think I gave my last one to, well, military vehicles, but I think did I give away my 57 Chevy or do I have it somewhere? Just email me, Eric. Yeah, I'm gonna get in on a Friday and leave on a Sunday. But aside from Buena Park, I'm going to share a table with Mike Machat. And by the way, guys, if you're in California, SoCal area during Buena, or you're going to be at Buena Park, for God's sakes, please come and say hi.
Aren't
celebrating
you
the-
supposed to do an unboxing?
Oh, thank God! I was thinking, what am I forgetting? Okay.
Celebrating says, I drive for model kits.
And Dario says Max is a model drug mule.
Frank says, pay him in styrene.
I call myself the styrene conduit. Okay, let me switch glasses because I got to read here. This is from Mr. Jordan, who is Fort Campbell, which is where I served in the Army. Max, when I moved to Fort Campbell in December, I found I had a lot of duplicate kits. And when I renewed my Airfix Club membership this year, they sent me 2 of the club welcome ones. So there are some rare kits and some not so rare. The A4 is in here, A4D is in here as well. Please enjoy the kits and have fun. Model on, C. Jordan. The reason the A4D is in there is I had mentioned when I talked about the Army jets, that videos I did about the Army jets. The A4 that was tested with the dual wheels for the Army service for rough field operations was an A4D. So he says there's one in there. He would send me one. Because the 2 A4s I had were different models, and intakes are those too small. All right, let's see what he's got. Now,
KLS and C says, Max, if you can go to California, you are now committed to come to Fort Wayne.
oh, nice guilt play. I like that.
That's a challenge.
I do want to make Fort Wayne. Just remember, Ken, if I go to Fort Wayne, I'm dragging your butt along with me. Because misery loves company. Whether I'm the company or the misery, I'll let you decide.
If I gotta go, I gotta go.
I'll get sick again.
As long as you're there, we don't care.
Yeah, okay.
Look, we know you may have to travel 60, but it's a price we're willing to pay.
That's so nice of you guys.
Hey, we're swell that way. So let's see what we got. Okay. I did open the box. I have not been through it yet. So, and yes, there are the pink peanuts. Oh, it was. I'll be sweet. Okay, let's see. The Revell 1/72 scale Catalina. You know what? I'm going to make you guys small and me big real quick so people can see the box art better. Put the remove pin.
At least you're back in focus again.
Oh, am I? Okay, that's great. That's wonderful. Remove. Okay, where's remove pin? View, mute, stop. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. We have the Black Cat Catalina. Now, new Revell model of the month. I have to tell you guys something about this particular kit, why it holds a soft spot for me. When I was but a tyke, my older brother had this kit with this artwork. And I'm pretty sure it's a Jack Linwood artwork. And he got the record. You guys remember when Revell, you could get the record?
Yep.
Steve, you want to tell him about that while I'm digging through it? He had the record, so I got to listen to the record all the time.
They put little cardboard sort of records in there that would talk about the plane and its service and, important facts about the plane.
Well, the record told a story. Because he also had the record for I think it was the Wildcat.
And wasn't that popular. They only did it in a couple of kits. But
they did it in the Junkers 88, because I have one. They did it in the Zero. They did it with the Black Cat PBY, and I think they did it with the Wildcat, because they talked about the guys at Wake Island. And those may be the only ones. And I got off of eBay. I have the Zero and the Junkers 88. I had to go online, though, to download them because I don't have a record player.
Rare, yeah.
Lego came a little late to the party. You want to know why your shirt has a black stain on it, and some of the other members have explained what that was.
Yeah. I took this off of a dead Star Trek security guy who would take...
Oh, we're going to go with that, huh?
Yeah, we're going with that. And he took a phaser hit that went all the way through him. But I pulled a Captain Kirk, got my shirt torn, so I needed something, because I wear gold, because I'm command, because I'm the captain. Freddy Flame Out!
Ooh.
I have one of those, but you can never have too many Freddys. I might modify that one.
Was that an attempt to get the kids interested in...
Oh no, the Weirdo. No. This is part of the Weirdo series, man. Those were Bill Campbell, right? Yep. Those were very popular.
They were really they sold a lot of them.
What Bill Campbell? I talked about the video on Hawk Models. I talked about Bill Campbell, and he he couldn't get the guys at Hawk interested, So he put that artwork in with a demonstration they were supposed to make, and when the customers saw it, oh yeah, we want those, and then thus it was born. Easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission.
Hey Steve, did you see that comment from Richard?
Yes.
What?
I just thanked him.
No, I'm sorry, it's from Brian Tate.
Max, the sister shipped.
Brian Tate.
Brian Tate. Quit interrupting Steve's brilliance. Well, if he ever gets brilliant, I will. Okie dokie then.
So you didn't know you were doing that. So
I'm sorry. My brilliance meter must be malfunctioning. Tamia, Brewster Buffalo.
Ooh.
Which, by the way, if any of you guys happen to watch a YouTube channel called Showtime 112, he's been doing a series on the British and Dutch buffaloes fighting the Japanese. Hint, hint. They did better than the Marines at Midway, but it still did not go well.
Buffaloes in the Pacific?
Yeah. Yeah, they said it was almost exclusively Pacific. There was an export version, I think it was a 339, that we sold to the Dutch. Yeah. The Finns, who did real good against the Russians with them, and the Brits, because the Brits were grabbing anything with wings because they couldn't make enough. And a lot of them ended up down in the Pacific, fighting for the British and the Dutch. And, they did what they could with what they had, which was not a great endeavor.
Brian Tate says, Max, Steve's talking.
What? Who?
Nothing. It's okay.
Max, you should wear that shirt on the next range day. Steve is talking. Oh, well, excuse me. Yeah, the Belgians, I forgot about it. Yeah, Singapore, huh? Here's the A4D.
It's like Max Talk.
I'm going to put dual wheels on this and make the Army test variant out of it. In fact, I'm going to put that. No, I'll just set it
All
here
right,
for
Steve.
now. But
It's actually
Yeah.
your show. We just let Max talk.
Well, yeah. Don't tell him.
well, this is interesting. Of course, these guys put the frickin' price sticker on the second cockpit. This is the 2-seat Sea Fury. And on the back, you can see it, the trainer version, the T-20. But this is from a company called Pioneer 2, Royal Navy Historic Flight. Okay, I am not familiar with Pioneer 2. Before we go any further, it's off the scale, mates. Who is Pioneer 2?
Oh, because the Finns Buffalo had the best kill to loss ratio of the war.
Yeah, oh, they did quite good against the.
Christopher says, "Sorry, Max, you couldn't read my handwriting."
Oh, that's okay. We figured it out. Pioneer 2. Here we go. Pioneer 2. Oh, they made okay. British company. Question mark to now. Okay.
Sluggo wants to know if your shirt has matching PJ bottoms.
Nope. I'm wearing gray sweats. Oh.
J.M. Chaldick says they're a Turkish company.
Well, the thing, Scalemate says British, but okay. If you know anything about Pioneer 2, email me, maxismodels@yahoo.com. Okay, here we have the RE Beechcraft Bonanza. By the way, guys, not this particular, well, which model is it? It just says Bonanza. The very first airplane ride I ever got when I was 3 years old was in a Bonanza. I think it was a V-35B. It was Barry Ottinger's airplane, but this is a different version, I think. But I've always had a soft spot for the Bonanza. Although if I was to buy a Bonanza, I'd get one with a straight tail. The butterfly tail had too many issues. Not that it didn't work, but in the end, it turned out that the butterfly tail may have been higher drag than a regular tail. They had to make everything bigger. But and this is one.
Paul Adams says, "Warning, warning, warning! Beware the instructions on the Lindenberg version of the IMC Skyhawk. They have the main undercarriage legs installed back to front."
Huh? Well, ironically, I'll be paying a lot of attention to the undercarriage because I plan to make that Army twin-wheeled version. And for those of you who have not done your homework and did not watch my video, let me see real quick if I can find a picture of the one I'm talking about. Back when the Army was toying with the idea of getting jets, here we go, Army jets, A4D-2N. Here is a decent picture of the Army A4 with the dual bogie undercarriage. This is not photoshopped or anything like that. It has been a little enhanced by the computer, but that is a very, very real thing. You'll also notice that the doors, obviously, on the main wheelbase are different. A lot of people asked a question, so let me answer it right now. Douglas converted two A4D 2Ns to this configuration for the Army test, and this airplane basically won the competition. Had the Army bought jets, this is most likely what they would have acquired. They were very happy with it. And yes, they converted both of them to the dual bogies with the different doors and everything. They did all the testing. However, since the Air Force had a virtual hissy, and General Momeyer, and I'm sorry for earlier having said Momyer, it's Momeyer, I was corrected on that. And a bunch of other people in the Air Force just wigged out. But people ask what happened to the jets. They were converted back by Douglas to Navy standard and did go to the fleet. So that's what became of the jets from that project. And that is a very, very real thing. I've got a video about it out there on the channel if you want to watch. It's a very interesting chapter in Army aviation. And
J.M. Chaldek said something really interesting. By the way, I'm collecting bits in an attempt to scratch build an RU-8 Sycamore which is a twin Bonanza using 148
Mhm.
mini-scale Bonanza bits.
The
I did
ar-
not know they made a twin Bonanza.
Okay. All right. Since you asked, crap.
Since I asked.
Here we go.
Darn.
The U8 series, Army U8 series. This is I'm going to try and be really quick with this. The Army.
Short tangent.
I just happen to have a slide that's perfect for this. All of these airplanes, even though they're very distinctly different airplanes, are classified as U8 Seminoles. All right. The upper two are what's known as the Twin Bonanza. They were L-23s, and later, when they came up with that designation change service-wide, they became U8s. All right. I'll try to be as succinct as I can. The Twin Bonanza, which I can still remember the first time I saw. Okay, don't go down that tangent, Max. Don't go down the tangent hole. The Twin Bonanza is a very big general aviation airplane made by Beechcraft. The upper two are lovingly known as twin bows. Okay, they have nothing to do with the Bonanza except the name. All right.
Okay.
They came out in the 50s. The Bonanza was already very popular, so they just capitalized on that. But it's this ground-up design. It sat 6 people, 3 abreast. Okay. It had a throwover yoke that went from the left side to the middle in the front seat. I remember all this. Oh, Lord, things. Yep. And his cockpit was too wide for the throwover yoke to go to the guy in the right seat, so it was the guy in the left seat or the guy in the middle of the front seat. Oh, that's hilarious. Anyway, it is a capable airplane. Not terribly fast, but could jump out of a tennis court, could carry, if you can squeeze the door shut, it'll fly. Had Gitzo engines, that's geared engines, which meant you had to be really careful, and they only had about a 1,200 hour life on them. The Army in the 50s saw this as a great little utility airplane, liaison work, that kind of stuff. Right? They started sticking all kinds of eavesdropping equipment in them and made what later would be the RU-8. Okay, but here's the thing. Beechcraft decided to put a cabin class fuselage on the Twin Bonanza. That's the one at the bottom, which Beechcraft called the Queen Air. All right? In a shocking turn for the Army, they loved the airplane. They bought a bunch of them. But they did not redesignate it. It just went from U8E to U8F. And I'm like, wait a minute. The Army redesignates crap at the drop of a hat. They dropped an entirely different fuselage and weight range on the airplane. Because in the twin bow, you get in it like a baron. If you want to get in a Twin Bonanza, you go up 2, not 1, but 2 steps in a retracting step that go up under the right side of the airplane and go in over the wing through a door on the right side of the airplane, and everybody crawls in the back, and then you fold the seats back, and everybody crawls in the front. But in the F, the Seminole, which is the Queen Air, they were built with an air stair door. Now, some Twin Bonanzas did have air stair doors. There's a STC to add an air stair door to it. Some of them did have that done later. But it shocked me that the Army kept the same designation for 2 very different airplanes just because it shared a common wing, engine, and tail. And the Army's attitude, the different fuselage wasn't enough. Knowing how the Army operates, but I think he says, because I do not know, which will not stop me from pontificating like I do. I think one reason the Army kept the same designation was they didn't have to go to Congress and ask for money for a quote-unquote new airplane. This is just an upgrade to the existing one.
That's what Celebrating just said. He said not changing the designation was probably related to budgetary issues.
Probably. Don't know that for a fact, but it certainly stands to reason. Now,
Okay, so
the Army realized when they got in the eavesdropping game that, hey, this big airplane with this big cabin is great for sticking antennas all over, and Guardrail was born. A spy mission that somehow the Army has managed to hold on to. How the Air Force let that one slip through the cracks, I don't know. But they later put turbines on the thing and then pressurized it and made the King Air. So the twin bow is a direct lineage to the modern day King Air. And they were flying the guardrail mission until very recently. I think they just replaced it with drones. Army's getting rid of a lot of its manned platforms. But they're still using, of course, basic King Airs for VIP movement. But anyway, then the Army even has a couple of citation jets for VIP travel, so they still have a few jets, but they're just VIP transports or citation. Anyway, so the RU-80's talking about is a reconnaissance version of the plane on the bottom. And
Tate says, where do they put the machine guns?
no guns, not allowed, not even sidearms for the pilots. And it gets better. Let me tell you a story. Since you brought it up, okay? This is your fault.
Somebody had to.
Yep, your fault. So, let me pin you guys back here. Add pin.
What, Steve? What?
He just nodded his head.
We have one important thing to talk about before we get off, and we only have a minute.
Hold on. One more model in the box.
Steve is talking.
We can go over time. This is Airfix Club. I don't know what's in here.
Turn it over.
Hornby Hobbies. Airfix Club. Drum roll, please. Oh, this is taped. I can handle that.
Celebrating says, they shoot M4s out the side windows.
Aw, that's adorable. It's a tiger moth. And, oh, wait a minute. Limited edition de Havilland Tiger Moth and Saab Viggen. This has two models in it. You want to be buying some red paint for that. Hold on, there's more in the box. There is a keychain. Require for assembly. Save that for Eric. Because I have one. I actually have the Tarbis key on one of these. And there is a Airfix Club pin. And
it's not like the network is going to cut us off so they can run a repeat of figure skating.
some Airfix stickers. Ha! The sign that I have on the door here when I'm on the air broke. Okay? Says on air. I just put a piece of wire on it. I now have a replacement. And Flying Hours passport. I have my Airfix passport. I wonder if ICE will accept that.
Trey says, I'll take the Viggen.
I'll set it aside for you, Trey. So, Steve, you have the floor.
So there was an important revelation that came out of Toy Fair this past week. And that revelation is that Round 2 bought Lionel.
What could go wrong?
A myriad of things. But it seems like Round 2 is in a let's acquire everybody that we can mode and be the sort of be-all, do-all Swiss Army knife in the hobby industry and own the market and own the retail shelf. So this could have far-reaching ramifications because who knows who else they're going to gobble up.
Who else could they gobble up?
Well, they could gobble up Carrera Revel.
There's no one left in the United States except
Both have model kits. They both have slot. Carrera Revel, they could do Atlantis. That's about it.
Hey,
This cannot bode well for Atlantis.
Max, I don't really want to change the subject, but you might want to look at the bottom of the box. Christopher said for you to check it.
Bottom of the box? See, Kim, this is why it's important that you read these things.
Does Lionel still own Action Diecast, Steve?
Yes, they do.
Okay, maybe he doesn't mean that box. Maybe he means this box. No. Where? I just. Oh.
Okay.
Whoa! Come back here.
Would round 2 buy out Walters?
Nah.
Not likely. Walters is more in trains.
Dear Airfix Club member, welcome to the Airfix Club. We are thrilled to join our community of passionate model enthusiasts.
All right, Steve Jarvis. Yes, thank you.
A4 post, a Swedish Air Force scheme. Key ring, pen badge, door hanger. Was this what he was referring to?
I don't know. He'll let us know in a second.
Yeah, there's a bit of a lag.
Yes, Andy, a venture capital company owns round 2.
Did I get signed up for the Airfix Club?
Some people like the idea, some people don't.
Yeah. Time will tell.
Well, if it keeps styrene alive,
Christopher says that's it.
Thank you, Christopher. I cannot thank you enough. This is wonderful stuff, and thank you. I hope you don't mind, but if Trey wants the vegan, I'll give that to him. And
oh, you just made his day.
but I'm having a thought here, and
Uh-oh.
that's always a dangerous thing.
Yes.
But consolidation, mergers like this have kept the airline industry, the railroad industry, the banking industry, the communications industry alive. They're just a natural part of business. And in the end, as much as the emotional attachment we have to these things is, they are businesses and they have to make money. Consolidation may be the only way to keep the industry going. You know, we don't have the 30 million model builders of days past. So, you know, we're not running 50,000 shots at a run. You know, we're running 5,000 or 500. So this is probably, it wouldn't shock me if in the future Hasegawa and Aoshima and Tamiya start to merge or something just to stay alive. And Nito and a bunch of others, you know, are a shell of their former selves. So it may have to be that way to keep the industry going. I just wish more kids would get into it. That's why people like Gavin are so important. You know, scale model apprentice. We need more young people. And Gavin, when you're our age, I hope you think fondly back to these days and tell people, the young people of the time, what it was like doing these live streams and stuff, you know, and everything. And they were great days back when we had boxes on our desk that had screens on them and talked through microphones, you know, before the telepathic link.
KM says, maybe we'll see Star Wars themed train sets.
They have those already.
Oh, God.
They have those.
Every time I watch a Star Wars movie now, like when I saw Solo and they had that train-looking thing that they tried to rob, part of me was thinking, is this just another toy franchise option, you know, opportunity for them? Is that they invent this stuff just so they can make the toys? Although I got to admit, it did look pretty cool.
Well, that's all right. Playmates, who had the Ninja Turtle license since day one, they announced at Toy Fair this will be the last year they have it.
You know, if you grow up with this stuff, it seems pretty sacred, but in reality, it's just a commercial product that was invented. It'll come. The thing about model building is a lot of this stuff is historical, and history doesn't go away as long as we remember it. But you guys realize that Vietnam veterans are often octogenarians now, and World War II is starting to have the same. World War is starting to have the same echo as Shiloh and the Somme. And you know, in our generation, people talked about the Revolutionary War. It was just history, but we knew people that served in World War II in Korea and Vietnam, and now they're drifting into that. And it isn't that long before Guadalcanal will have the exact same resonance as Gettysburg or Ticonderoga. Well, on that dour little note.
Paper PZL just asked me a question. He says, Ken, what's your opinion of Hornby trains, better or worse than Pico? I have very little experience with Hornby, and so I couldn't really tell you, but I know Pico, as far as track goes, they make really good track. So far as track goes, yes. The other stuff, sorry, don't know.
Well, guys, I guess that's it for the evening. A little over time, but that's okay. We're all having a good time. Heck, we have pretty much stayed on topic the whole time.
Oh, KLSC says, I'm a Vietnam era veteran and I'm only 73 years old.
One of the youngins. You were the
Yeah.
FNG.
Life marches on. Problem with history today in schools is that the past is now seen as a negative and not achievements.
Actually, I think you're starting to see a swing on that. Society's always going waves, and the pendulum's kind of going back the other way. People are starting to realize that history is nuanced, it's complex, and no
written
one
by
can.
the winner.
Hmm?
And written by the winner.
Actually, Ken, I'm going to disagree with that, and I'll give you two classic examples that
Okay.
people kind of overlook. One is the lost cause myth of the South. The South lost the American Civil War. Yeah, everybody talks about, the lost cause. That's a lot of BS the South came up with to whitewash everything and put a good twist on it. Losers get to write the history also. And I'll tell you another one is the clean Wehrmacht. Clean my happy ass. And I'll tell you something else about that. We did our own share of nastiness. I've talked to some guys there that go, let me tell you what you won't read in a history book.
Oh, yeah.
And the Canadians
Eric
were...
wants to Eric wants to make an announcement.
Yeah, go for it.
They'll find out in a minute or so.
Yeah, it'll take a second.
Type in Eric.
Me too. Yeah.
There ain't no such thing as a clean war.
I wonder how many Vietnam veterans we got out there.
A few of them.
I was 63 last week with mental age of 5.
I keep telling my wife I'm 12, mental age of 12. She goes, try 8.
Oh. Knitting has become a thing again.
Yeah, it has.
Huh. Hey, that's pretty cool. Chaos and says,
Celebrating's going to do his first live stream tomorrow at 1, which would be 4 o'clock my time. Live stream tomorrow. Same time as this one. I'm sorry. Okay, which is 7 o'clock my time. Okay, everybody. It's not a war crime the first time. Everybody, Eric's going to do one over at Celebrating Vintage Model Kits tomorrow night this time. It should be free, so I hope to join it. Log in and watch it. And I want to thank Eric and Trey both for the videos they put out. They're fun and they're educational. And at some point, Eric and I also want to thank Paul Adams down in New Zealand, because he does a ton of research that I use often. We're trying to keep the history alive, because for us, it's part of who we grew up being. And I realize, depending on where you grew up in the world, model building may be a very different thing, but being raised in America, I feel completely spoiled. But I don't think a lot of Americans appreciate just how good we've had it.
yes, we do.
But I got to give the Brits credit. I think the Europeans and the Brits have the best hobby shops. Not a lot of them, but the ones they have are outstanding. Bunch of videos on there, and I want to thank everybody for all the stuff you've been sending me, the links and everything. And guys, if you don't have a YouTube channel, it's really easy to set up. If you want to just make some video, I'm happy to filter everything in here. Just let you send me some pictures. Please back away a little bit. A lot of times guys send me these photos and half the model's cropped off. I know a lot of us aren't photographers, but it's not that hard. If you want to set up your own YouTube channel, there's 100 videos out there on how to do it. Post your own stuff. Send us a link. I'll tell the world about it. Gavin, it's important that you stay with the hobby, because you're the future, man. And I really appreciate everybody. I appreciate this community.
Super QZL says, thanks, Steve, Ken, and Max.
Yeah, me. The guy whose name's on this thing. But that's okay.
The guy that talks all the time.
It's a gift or a curse, depending on which end of my mouth you're on. Oh, God, that sounds...
It's what you do.
Just forget that last comment. Anyway, guys. Okay, well, guys, let's say goodbyes. We'll let everybody go, and it's dinner time down here. So,
Oh yeah, I smell dinner too.
yeah. Ken, you want to start off the nighty nights?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for coming out, guys. We appreciate you. I'm sorry we can't get to all of your comments. I try to get in and say the best ones. It's not always easy, but we still appreciate them and enjoy them. Thank you.
Guys and gals, thank you very much for spending another Saturday evening with us. We know you have other things to do, but we really appreciate the feedback we get from you and the banter that we get back and forth. And it's great to have all of you involved in this with us. It's like one big happy family. And we're going to keep doing it as long as we can do it. And happy birthday, Sarah Jane. Didn't know it was your birthday. So, till next week, have a safe week, guys.
Guys, thanks for coming out. Sarah Jane, happy birthday. And thanks for joining us and adding a little class to the joint. So, guys, take care of yourselves as always. Good one. Who did that? Ken, did you do that?
What?
The hiccup. Steve?
No, that was me.
No, no.
I'm not going to sign off on a hiccup.
No.
Guys, you
Do it
take
again.
care of yourselves.
Do it again.
I'm working with children. Guys, take care of yourselves, and as always, model on.